All right, what is up guys? JaretCampisi, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing a first ride and review on our 2021 Yamaha R1M. I'm super excited. Don't forget, this is actually our next build series motorcycle. So if you head over to patreon.com/Campisi Customs, you can get signed up to be entered to win this bike, and actually for the next month, our Carbon V4 SP as well. Details are always in the description below. Let's get this video started. All right, so as I mentioned, 2021 Yamaha R1M. I've ridden an 04 R1 and an 05 R1 belonging to my buddy Dado and my buddy Ryan Repsich. And I haven't ridden the new R1. So this platform was completely redone in 2015. So that's basically what you're looking at right now. In 2020, they did do some minor upgrades, but this is an R1M model. So it comes with carbon fiber fairings, full Öhlins, electronic controlled suspension. It's a numbered edition, a beautiful aluminum tank, a beautiful aluminum swing arm, I think aluminum forged wheels, they might be magnesium, and a bunch of other cool upgrades that make it unique to the model. Now this isn't completely bone stock. We did do some modifications for Manny at Moto Million. He sent over these beautiful Rizoma stealth mirrors along with the kit to integrate the front turn signals. I'll show you in a second. We also did the single seat cowl, that's from the stock from the factory, and then we did the NRC tail tidy and turn signals as well. But other than that, it's bone stock. It has, man, I don't even know how many miles it has on it. It came with, what, a few miles on it, because obviously they have to PDI it and ride the bike. It has 5 miles on it. I don't know if you guys can see it in there. It's currently in power mode D, and I'll probably keep it in D for now. That's the least powerful. We're still in the middle of winter. The roads are cold. It's probably like 50 degrees outside. There's stones all over them and everything like that. So I want to keep it nice and chill today for this first ride. But I'm really excited. So why don't we just hop right into it. Again, this is my first time riding a brand new R1M. Well, I should say a new generation R1. So right off the bat, things I will mention is the dash definitely feels a little bit dated now. It's a little bit small. It's pretty far tucked down in there. It's kind of hard to see, but it is cool because it has things like when you hit the brakes, you can see braking. When you give throttle, you can see throttle response. I'm not sure what is on that right hand side, but there's even things you can change on there. It might be lean angle, I'm not even sure, but there's a lot of stuff on this little dash up here. Cool thing about this bike in particular is it's an inline 4, but it's a cross plane crank inline 4, so it sounds very unique. Let me see if you guys can hear it here. So that exhaust has a big old muffler on it along with a catalytic converter, so it's pretty hard to hear what it really sounds like, the motor really sounds like. But don't worry, we're going to be putting a full titanium exhaust on this thing very soon. So I'm excited to hop on this bad boy. We're going to take it easy today, be nice and chill. We are breaking the bike in, but you can hear that cross plane crank in there, so unique. When you put an exhaust on this, it's one of the best sounding motorcycles in my opinion, and I'm excited to ride this. So let's get out on the road and see how she feels. Oh, and actually before we start, for reference, I'm 5'10", and it's a pretty high bike and the seat's pretty wide, so I can't flat foot. I've got like on the balls of my feet and back. I don't know if you guys can see that there. So it's a pretty high bike, pretty committed riding position as well. All right folks, here we go. First time riding a brand new Yamaha R1M. I'm so freaking excited, man. I've always loved this bike ever since they came out with the R1M model. Listen to that. So if you see it flashing and yelling at me and stuff, it's because we're obviously in the break-in period. It tells you in the manual, don't take it above 8,000. Honestly, it really doesn't matter in my opinion. Just keep it away from red line, make sure it gets up the temperature, don't beat on it too hard, and it'll be totally fine. I'm gonna do a whole separate video on how to properly break in a motorcycle. It'll probably be the next one actually. Plus we're in detuned power mode, so it's, even if I give it full throttle, it's not getting full throttle anyway. But yeah, everything's breaking in on this bike. The tires, the gearbox, the brakes, obviously the motor. So I need to be really careful. Again, it's cold outside right now. The roads are cold. There's freaking stones and salt and everything everywhere. But I'm really lucky that we have a 50-degree day in the middle of February, because this is pretty rare. It's been brutal. The move from California, I haven't been able to ride in about 2 months, and it's just been a little bit depressing, to be completely honest. But yeah, so first impressions, I really hate stock exhausts on motorcycles these days. They're so restrictive, and obviously that's all because of the regulations and all that. But not being able to hear the motor just takes away such a huge part of the experience for me. You can kind of hear it. Normally you hear the motor through the exhaust, but because the exhaust is so quiet, I can hear the motor, like the actual motor, which is kind of cool. I can hear the cool sound of it in there, but you're just not getting it. The riding position is very committed. Like you're really committed on this bike. I would say it's even more committed than the Panigale. So I've ridden pretty much every leader bike at this point. I would say this is probably one of the most committed riding position wise. I mean, you're really leaned over, you're really aggressive, and Yamaha was pretty open about that. They said this bike is built for the track. In 2015, when they completely redid the platform, I believe it was 2015. Listen to that. Nice quick shifter for sure. And again, everything's breaking in right now, so there's a little bit of a lag, but that might just be the rider mode I'm in. When I was riding the M1000 with 650, man, that thing, I think that might have one of the best quick shifters on the market right now. It kind of reminds me of my R8. When you shift, it like jumps forward. That's how freaking good it is. The brakes on this thing, I'll tell you right now, are fucking horrible. This might be them still betting in. That was me squeezing as hard as I possibly could right there, and it barely even stops. I also don't like where the position is of the stock brake and gear shifter. For some reason, they're like, you got to kind of turn your foot in like this to get to it. That might be a track thing, I don't know. Luckily, the good thing is, I mean, so in order for Yamaha to make this bike, which is an R1M, it's the most premium version of their R1. It competes with like an M1000, a V4R, or something like that, but this is $10,000 less than those bikes. And the way that they're able to do that is by cheaping out on parts, like for example, the Nissan brake master. I don't even know, there's not even a name on the clutch master. You know, things like the levers, the brakes are Nissan calipers, they're not that good. So things like that they cheaped out. I wouldn't say cheap out on, but that's how they save money to keep this bike more affordable. The beauty of it is, if you buy this bike, you're still getting a really good deal, because the sum of its parts are really, really good. I mean, you got electronic Olin suspension, top of the line, the motor's incredible, the wheels are awesome, all the carbon fiber bodywork's amazing. And then you start swapping it out for parts that you like, you know, doing grips, handlebars, new calipers, you know, new brakes, new master cylinders, new rear sets, stuff like that, and then all of a sudden it turns into a really, really good bike. And I have a feeling that when we're done with building this bike, I have a feeling it's going to be absolutely incredible, just from the sound perspective alone. And here's another thing that's underrated that people don't think about, and I feel like for some reason everybody gets hyped when bikes rev higher, and you know, that's cool. I think it's cool that we can do that and we have that type of technology, but in my opinion, a bike revving higher actually makes it less fun on the street. This bike handles pretty well at low speeds. Like initial impressions, it's very light. I think it was 450 pounds when we weighed it with a full tank of gas and all its fluids. That's pretty light. That's one of the lightest bikes actually that we've started with. I think our Panigale was right around that as well. But anyway, what I was saying is, this redline's at right around 14,000. Like the light starts to come on at 13.5. I actually like lower revving motorcycles because it's more fun for the street. Like that's why the Ducati Twins, the 1299, it revved at, I think it redlined around 11,000, 11.5. You were always in the power band, so anytime you twisted the throttle, it was fun. You know, you were getting torque, you're getting power. So you know, like the V4R redlines at like 16,500. When I was riding 650's bike, you never even come close to that on the street, or you're like, you really have to remind yourself every single time to like let it keep revving, keep revving, keep revving, which is cool and it's great for the track. But for normal everyday street riding and having fun on the street, I think having a bike that redlines sooner is actually more fun. Like the older leader bikes, the older R1M. I'm not sure what Dado's redline's at, but probably even older than that. When they used to redline at 10,000, man, I think that they were a lot more fun on the street. And I like that this one, the nature of this motor being the cross-plane crank, and how that's the reason why it sounds so cool. It's the firing order. It actually gives you a little bit more torque low down. Now it's down on horsepower, it's 195 compared to the other leader bikes, but honestly you don't need more than 195 horsepower on the street to have fun. Now look, if you're racing semi-professional at a track, well, even at a track, honestly, probably having less horsepower might be better. But the only reason people get all hyped up about horsepower, if you're doing smackdowns and street racing and all that kind of stuff, I get it, you want more power, it makes sense. But for me personally, I'm looking, all I want is a bike that looks cool and that's fun to ride on the street. That's all I care about. I'm not a professional racer, I'm not like an expert level rider. I just like to have fun and go out and ride. And so I think that this bike is gonna really start to check a lot of boxes when we start to get the upgrades on it. But straight out of the package in stock form, it's a really nice bike. Like, it's hard for me to get excited about it because there's no freaking sound. And the brakes definitely, I'll check back in with you guys about that, because I've had bikes that brakes need to break in after, you know, 50 miles, 100 miles. They start working a little bit better. But yeah, I can hear that sound in there. Oh man, I can't wait to put an exhaust on this thing. But yeah, I mean, ergonomics, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I've heard that this bike gets hot. It's probably too cold for that to even happen. It's 50 degrees right now, maybe even less. So I'm not getting any heat at all. The seat is a little bit, there's not a lot of padding. We'll probably end up doing like a Louis Moto seat cover. We might even throw the gel in there. And once again, seats with less padding, that's for the track. If you're riding on the track, you want as much feedback from the bike as possible. So if you have a big cushy seat, you're not going to feel when your rear tire starts to slide, or your front tires, you know, diving in on you and some stuff like that. So I get it for track riding, but again, this is all my perspective of a street rider, everyday riding, stuff like that. I mean, it feels plenty fast to me, and this is in freaking D mode. Let's pop it up into, can I change the mode on the fly? Let's see. I thought normally I just, oh, okay, that's how I get around. Okay, so you can go in here and change everything, that's cool. But if I want to stay in the mode, it won't let me change the mode. Huh, so that might be one of those things you can't do with this bike. While you're riding, you might not be able to change modes. It doesn't look like it's allowing me to change the mode. If that's the case, that's actually kind of a big pain in the ass. That's something I do all the time when I'm riding, is change modes. Like, for example, if I'm in stop and go traffic, I'll throw it in a detuned mode, so it's a lot easier to handle. And then if I get like a wide open road, I'll toss it back into race mode or something like that. If you can't do that while you're riding, I think that's a pretty big oversight. Now, it might be just me not knowing enough about the bike. Let's see if I'm at a stop here, if it'll let me do it. Actually, I'm just gonna pull into this parking lot and see. That's really weird. I didn't know that it wouldn't let you do that. As soon as I noticed, as soon as I stopped riding, or stopped, like, I'm not on the throttle, let's see. Yeah, it still lets me change the modes now. Huh, I don't know. I'm just gonna put it in A mode, which is full power, just see what it feels like compared to, I'm curious to see if it changes like the quick shifter or anything like that. All right, we're good. So yeah, it actually, it looks like it puts a different looking square around it when you're moving. Yeah, see, now I can't change the mode anymore. So yeah, I guess you can't change the mode while you're riding. That seems pretty stupid to me. Maybe they have a reason for it, I don't know. But now let's see if we can get a feel for the handling on this a little bit here. Oh yeah, that's the brakes are so bad. Yeah, so this bike rewards you when you slide back in the seat, and it actually becomes a lot more roomy, and the seat's wider back there, so it really wants you in this position right here. That's crazy. That's not how I ride. When I ride, I squeeze the gas tank and I sit up towards the front of it right here, so I can control the bike with my legs more. And this bike just really doesn't want you sitting like that. It wants you to be slid back and down in a tucked position with your toes on the pegs, and that's how it starts to feel a lot better. Huh, That's interesting. But yeah, big difference when you're in race mode. Still very smooth though, very smooth power delivery. Now again, it's in the break-in period, so I don't know how detuned it is. I know a lot of bikes now coming out of the factories, when they're in their break-in period, the BMW was like, it felt like literally a 400 in the break-in period until you flash it. And actually, even after you broke it in at the dealership, it still had these giant dips of power in first, second, third, fourth, all the way up to fifth gear. So I'm curious to see if this is going to be the same way or not. It feels faster than the BMW did. Yeah, oh yeah, this feels much faster than the BMW did when it was in its break-in period. And I think the shifter actually feels faster too. So if this even has a different shift, like if it's smoother shifts when you're in a detuned power mode, that's pretty cool. I don't know if any other bikes that actually do that change the shifter, the quick shifter. That's something like our cars do when you're in comfort mode and stuff. I noticed that like when you shift, the dual clutch is actually a little bit slower and more like comfortable. So that's pretty cool. I would say so far, and actually it's really not that bad comfort wise either. I guess I should check these mirrors since we put these on. These are the Rizoma Stealth mirrors. You can fold them down whenever you aren't using your mirrors. Yeah, oh, damn, they're actually, yeah, so you have to move out of the way to see. You either, yeah, move your arm out or move your arm in. I honestly don't use mirrors. I just got used to not using them. So let's see. Yeah, so they work. I mean, they're not the best, but honestly, even factory mirrors aren't that good. But I personally just keep them turned down. Definitely a massive difference in power in A mode. Like, holy crap. The quick shifter is definitely faster. Honestly, even the brakes feel better. And that might just be them braking in a little bit, but holy crap. And it's definitely stiffer, the suspension. So I mean, this bike is big difference. Wow, yeah, you can see how dirty these roads are. I gotta be careful. But yeah, it's a fast bike, dude. Man, I don't feel comfortable like ripping on this thing with the brakes the way that they are. I don't feel like I can get out of jail. Now I'm coming off the Panigale V4 SP, which has some of the best brakes I've ever felt on a stock motorcycle. They're freaking insane how good they are. But that's pretty much the only thing I don't like about the bike, is just the brakes and of course the stock exhaust. But that, even actually the exhaust sounds better too in A mode. Oh, I love it. Nobody's on this road. It's so awesome. I hope that you guys can hear a little bit of the engine sound, because it does sound really freaking good. I even had like a pop on one of the upshifts. Look at this. Look at all this shit on the road. Unbelievable. What even is this? Like sand I'm riding through? Good God. This bike feels really small. Like it almost feels like a 600, and it's very nimble. It kind of gives me an old school feel, which I like. It feels very mechanical. And you can really just like hang off the side of this seat and just rip it. That's good. That'll break in the brakes nice. I'll tell you what, it's very tall geared though. Like I don't even need to shift half the time that I am. Second gear you can, well, first gear you could probably break every speed limit in America. What a freaking road. Look at this. I cannot wait for spring, guys. Oh my God. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of it, guys, for the first ride. I mean, it feels like a really good bike. For the price in these like upper level like price range of motorcycles, I would say it's definitely one of the best value for your money. It's a very unique sounding motor, and I think that when we start putting all these cool parts on it, I think Dado and myself are both going to absolutely fall in love with this bike. I love the way that the motor sounds. I know that it's in there, so that's going to come out. I think once we overhaul the brake system, strip some weight off of it, do the, you know, the grips and the levers and all that, and the rear sets, I think it's gonna feel really, really good. Like, it already feels like it can just carve up roads, and it has like a good fun factor when you twist the throttle with the way that the power is delivered. So yeah, it's a fun leader bike. I mean, obviously you don't want to be sitting in traffic and stuff with this bike, but it's really smooth and easy to ride, I'll tell you that, especially because I'm so used to Panigales. But I really like this thing. Manny loves this bike. He told me I was gonna love it. He said it's basically like a Japanese Ducati, and I'd have to agree. It does. It has quite a bit of character, and that's mainly from that motor. So I can't wait until we get an exhaust on this bad boy. But yeah, I think that's about it. If you guys have questions or comments about this bike that you'd like to see answered, let them down in the comment section below. The next time I ride this, I'll try to answer some of those questions. If you're excited for the build series, let me know. If there's certain mods or modifications you think that we absolutely have to do, drop those down in the comment section below. If you want to be entered to win this bike and help support the projects, patreon.com/Campisi Customs. It's always the first link in the description below. If you enjoy the videos, guys, be sure to thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you all in the next one. Yes, feels good to be back on a bike, man. Fuck winters.